Sooner Football with Brent Venables season preview show is brought to you by Jana King, the king of clean.
Welcome inside the Palace on the Prairie, Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, where the season is at hand. August 30th is when it all begins, but we've got your preseason primer. It is Sooner Football, the season preview show with head coach Brent Venables, presented by Jana King. August 30th, Illinois State comes to town. 5 o'clock will be kickoff Central Standard Time. In the heat of August, it all begins, Sooner fans, and we welcome you inside our Sooner Vision studios. I'm your host, Chad McKee, alongside the Butkus and Bednarik award-winning linebacker, national champion at Oklahoma,
Look at
Teddy
that
Lehman.
bearded beauty.
That is magnificent.
Whoa,
I wish you'd had that in your playing days, but it looks good now.
I don't know. I guess maybe I have to keep it to the playoffs. Is that how this works?
Without question.
What's the format here?
It looks good.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate
Why
that.
have you not had a beard this whole time?
I don't know. My plan is to get all rough looking, and then whenever you shave and clean up, everyone's like, "Hey, you look young."
Oh, young.
Yeah.
That's good. So you're feeling that just like me. This guy's not worried about it. The Werfel Trophy winner, academic All-American of the Year and All-American center Gabe Eichert, he of the beard for many, many years and looking magnificent as well. Fellas, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
We're back, baby.
Back. We're going to hear from Coach Brent Venables with the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland, here in just a moment. But let's jump right into it. We don't have a whole lot of time for this, and we can get a little wordy because we've had a long off season. But, Gabe, offensively, this team, we're going to talk about new offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, new quarterback John Mateer, maybe the most highly sought-after player in the entire transfer portal in the offseason. But as you've watched a little bit and listened a little bit to summer camp, what's your sense of where the offense is?
The offense is going to be much better than it was a season ago.
Yes.
And I think every OU fan is hoping that is the case. And I am very, very confident in saying that will be the case. There's just a completely different vibe around this offense when you compare it to this time a year ago. And it has a lot to do with Ben Arbuckle and the system that he's brought in, the confidence that he's instilled in these players. And let's be real, it's got a lot to do with John Mateer.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is the real deal. He is everything that they were hoping he would be, and maybe even a little more because of the leadership piece that he's brought. But maybe the most important thing is overall, the group is much healthier at this time than it was a year ago. So I am very, very excited to see this offense go to work this season because it's going to be significantly improved compared to what we saw last season.
We did this show a year ago, and I think there were already 4 wide receiver injuries and some nicks and bruises on the offensive line. Those positions really never got healthy, Teddy. And it seems like just being healthier, the ability to possess and move the football is going to help the defense, which lost All-Americans like Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman. But what do you think of the defensives you've watched and listened so far?
I think they've looked really good. You know, it kind of reminds me of when I played a million years ago, whenever you've got a good, solid group of guys that have come up in the system. You know, you look back the last couple of years, Stutzman was the guy, Bowman on the back end, because everyone was still kind of coming along. But now you look at, not just the starters, but you can go 2 and 3 deep at a lot of positions for guys that have been in this system. They know it back and forth. You've had, to a large degree, the same coaching staff on defense. So you're really starting to see everyone hit their stride, like the full group, not just a player here or there. Really, everyone has come along, and the good quality depth throughout all the different position groups hasn't been like that since Venables has been here.
So you think back, Brent Venables, this will be his 4th season as head coach. 16 players who were here in 2022 will be on this roster. Doesn't sound like a high number, but honestly, it is. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can keep a recruiting class of 25 guys intact to 16 players, that's pretty good retention. And it seems like that has helped things this offseason. But don't take our word for it. We're going to hear from the head coach. Brent Venables standing by with Toby Rowland, the voice of the Sooners, when we come back on the Sooner Football Season Preview Show with head coach Brent Venables, presented by Jana King.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Sooner Football Preview Show with Brent Venables, brought to you by Jana King, the king of clean. Toby Rowland with you now. We're joined by head coach Brent Venables. Coach, everybody starts with offense, but you're a defensive guy, so let's start with defense in this first segment for you. I got to imagine, compared to year one when you arrived and really nobody knew what you were trying to do defensively on the football team anyway, compared to now when you have so many guys that have been in the system for a year, 2, 3 years, it's got to feel great for you running the defense that there's so much experience out there.
Yeah, and a deep understanding, both by our coaches and the players. Coaches understanding the players and what they're capable of, and several, most of the roster, we've developed for 2, 3, 4 years, and for the players, with the returning experience, and again the development, foundationally, I think we have 3 players that were transfer guys, and Dom Williams and Marvin Jones, as well as Kendall Daniels, and Kendall Dolby came from junior college, so I guess technically he would count that as well. But overall, again, these are guys we've raised up, we've recruited specifically with vision, how they're going to fit in our scheme, and I love our defensive personnel, and I'm not one to gas. I'm pretty conservative when I, talk about, our guys. But what I love about them is their hunger to get better, their willingness to be coached, their, really, really high standards that they show up with and chase every single day. And then the fire, the passion, the energy, it's infectious, it's contagious. We got guys that are physical, that like to strike, and they understand the value of that, and to play elite level defense. And they don't shy away from, the expectations and the pressure that we put on them every single day. So what I appreciate and value too, I got a staff that understands that. Everything that I just spoke about, they understand that intimately. There's an alignment and a fit, and it's like we're all just a bunch of brothers that grew up together, and we have each other's back. So, that's not something that is always there either. From one locker room, one school to the next, and whether everybody is on the same page. As a matter of fact, there's several places I think that whatever that percentage is, it's closer to 50% than it is to 0%, where there may be the egos are an issue, or there's friction, there's not an alignment, and you have to overcome those types of things to put out a great product. And but this is still, all that being said, as I challenged the defense just a couple of days ago, it's still a game of doing. Yeah. It's still a game of performance, and it's still a game that the best of the best endure, the challenges and the headwinds of a season. And the idea is for it to just, get better from one week to the next, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. If you want to be a defense that everybody has talked about, if you want to be a defense or a team that is led by defense, then you have to be willing to do what that requires, and it's not easy at all.
Danny Stutzman was the unquestioned vocal leader of the defense last year. He was the alpha. Mm-hmm. Who's that guy this year?
I think it's going to be, and I say this is not a bad thing, because it sometimes can be the way you say it might sound that way, but I think it's going to be more by committee. I really do, and I think that each position group has a group of guys, a few guys that have those qualities to them. Maybe not exactly like Danny, and that's okay. But we had, I think, 17 players that had 8 or more votes for captain. That says a lot about the depth of respect of players that, because you fool a lot of people, you can't fool those players. You can't fool, a locker room. And they know where the warts are and all the skeletons are. And so I'm really excited about the depth of leadership that we have. And so whether it's, Kobe and Kip, Sammy at linebacker, or again, like Kendall Daniels comes in. You know, he's been a leader, and a really successful players. Or again, you got, you know, R. Mason Thomas, or again, like a Marvin Jones that has this veteran presence to him, a lot of wisdom, a guy that's, you know, really explosive, really long, and a really good player. A guy like that, or a young buck like a Taylor Wine, you know, that shows up every day and has passion and just a lot of fire to him, really competitive spirit. You know, Gentry Williams, Kendall Dolby, Robert Spears Jennings, Peyton Bowen. These are guys that have put a lot of time in our locker room and are really well-respected players. And that's not even talking about the young players that, again, as I told them, like, leadership is not a position in a line. Leadership is not a, you don't lead, you know, once you get a title as a leader, you get voted as a leader, and you lead by a body of work and a level of consistency. So young players like Boganowski or Reggie Powers, you know, amongst others, you know, are guys that would quantify as that. And again, I'm not even talking about the guys inside, man, where it all starts. Grayson Halton, you know, the light that's inside of him. Same thing, Dom Williams, man, he's just been fantastic. And David Stone, same thing. You know, a guy that has put in a lot of work, and just you know, going on year 2, players really, really respect him.
I'm going to give you 3 or 4 guys on defense, and give me 1 or 2 sentences on what you feel like they bring to your team this year. Just a quick answer. Kendall Daniels.
Yeah, just versatility. Really versatile guy.
Jaden Jackson.
Consistency and physicality. Elite leadership.
Reggie Powers.
Stick of dynamite, it's like a grenade. Energized, and he's a listener. You know, he absorbs. He's a sponge.
Danny Okoye.
Untapped, you know, potential. We're getting ready to unleash him to the SEC.
Last one, R. Mason Thomas.
Yeah, just game changer. You know, it's close out a game just like that. Just on sheer talent. Not many guys can do that.
The closer, R. Mason
I like
Thomas.
that, the closer.
I like it. All right, we're talk offense when we come back. More with Brent Venables next. It's the Sooner Football Preview Show, brought to you by Jana King. Welcome back to Sooner Football with Brent Venables. Okay, let's talk about your offense, Coach. New offense this year. Ben Arbuckle comes here to run it from Washington State, and a new quarterback as well, and that's everybody can't wait to see John Mateer. What have your impressions been of John, and what do you feel like he brings to your football team?
Well, he's ultra competitive, and he's an alpha when it comes to wanting to win and showing up ready to compete every day. He's got great energy, but great humility. He's committed to a process and a certain way of doing things that, again, the great ones do. He values the intimate details of a walkthrough. He values pat and go, the warm-up. He values the intensity and the focus and the readiness of post-flex to start practice. So, you know, as a coach, man, you're not having to, you know, and everybody's learning and growing, and you're teaching everybody, but he's a guy that's going to literally lead from the front. He's going to think like a coach. He's going to respond the way you want him to. You know, when the worst things happen on the practice field, he's not going to, you know, go in a dark space and cower away. He's going to not flinch. And he's not going to be perfect either. So I don't want to paint a picture of him that, you know, he's unflappable, you know. He's like any young player, and he's only started 1 year in college. So he's still got learning and growing to do, and he'll be the first one that would tell you that. Matter of fact, sometimes when you start kind of taking him down that rabbit hole, you know, about where you need to improve, get better, what'd you learn from last year, whatever you put on tape that wasn't good last year, that's what people are looking at. Yeah. You know, that's my challenge to the coaches, to know yourself and know your system, and then look how other people look at you and the success that they've had. Professional courtesy, you're going to see that again. And so, he's just has this humility that's fun to deal with. And, but, for that side of the ball, he's, through a body of work, he's helped develop confidence and again, a culture of doing things a certain way. This is how we do it. We show up, with details. We show up with energy. We show up with a competitive toughness. We show up with a mindset. We're not out tricking. We're out executing. We're out physicaling. We're relentless effort, and it's the attention to details that's going to help us, have an opportunity to compete at the very highest levels in this league. And we have the challenges of the season and the depth of the schedule that we do, and it's all good. And so he brings that same mindset. And sometimes, you need more of that than you do the coach that's kind of walking everybody down that, that road. And when you have that in the locker room and the players are saying the same things that you're saying to the players, man, you got something special. But it can't happen, if the quarterback isn't leading the way.
You want to be able to run the football as well, and a lot of that has to deal with the guys up front. Offensive line wasn't as good last year as you would like for it to be. It seems like you have a lot of depth. It's just figuring out who goes where. That process, how's it going? How do you feel like the offensive line's coming together?
Yeah, it's good. And again, I think any good football team, it's going to start, up the interiors, up the middle, both sides of the ball. Your D tackles, your middle linebacker, your safeties on defense, and then, guard to guard. The guy touching the ball every single snap is that center, and getting really good quality play from an interior standpoint. And really, again, the synchronization, the chemistry, the cohesion, the communication, everybody up front. And really like where we're at right now. We're in a better place, health-wise, experience-wise. I do believe talent-wise, better understanding overall, holistically. And between Troy Everett and Jake McCullough, interior at center, and then Owen Hollenbeck there as a third center. We played 4 centers last year in 10 different starting offensive lineups because of injuries. And so we're in a better position from a health standpoint. And then at, guard to guard, just much more experience than where we were. Arguably our most productive and most consistent player up front, in fall camp, has been Fabechi. He's been fantastic. He's in the best shape of his life, and he's just playing with a lot of confidence, and he's really has been running off the ball, and his physical part of his game has really taken a huge step. But the other guys around him too, at the guard position we're just a lot, more experienced, and we're better there. And so I'm excited about where that lands because it's a really good position of competition right now. So between Heath Osida and Eddie Pierre-Louis and UK Dan, amongst others, that's a really good group from an interior standpoint that's really competed at a really great level. And then at, the tackle position is another area where we're getting great competition. So Jacob Sexton, Logan Howland, returning along with, again, Mike Fasusi, Derek Simmons. Derek's obviously a transfer, and Luke Baklenko as well from Stanford at tackle. Derek Simmons has been really good there. Mike Fasusi, the things that he's been able to do, and I know I didn't mention Ryan Fogier interior-wise as well. Those 2 freshmen are as talented and mature, consistent as any young freshmen that any of us have been around in some time. Their ability to execute on the offensive line, that's a very difficult position to transition as high school freshmen, and they've done it as well as anybody and are going to help us this year. They're going to compete for starting positions, and they're pushing, guys that they're competing with in a great way. And the experience that Logan Howland learned through being baptized and dropped in the fish grease last year really has shown up. You know, he's more confident, he's stronger, he's able to anchor down better. You know, he's always been a really good athlete, but he's able to play in a different space, mentally and physically both, as well as, again, you know, Jacob Sexton. This is year 4 for him, and we lost him in the Ole Miss game to a knee injury. So he's playing. You know, he's stronger than he's ever been, more confident than he's ever been, and so it's been a great, you know, camp to watch that group come together.
Quick answers on 3 or 4 of your offensive guys. Jaden Ott.
Yeah, really dynamic and really explosive and a home run hitter.
Isaiah Satania.
Consistent, fast, explosive.
Elijah Thomas.
Untapped potential. You know, great catch radius, incredibly strong hands, super fast and explosive.
Last guy, Jaron Kanik.
Leader, alpha, great teammate, unselfish.
Feel like everybody's rooting for him to have a
No
big
doubt.
year.
No doubt, and he will.
Coach, we appreciate your time as always. Best of luck this season. Go get him.
Appreciate it. Boomer.
Brent Venables, Chad, Teddy, and Gabe back with more right after this. Stay with us.
Sooner Football with Brent Venables season preview show is brought to you by Jana King, the king of clean.
Welcome back into Sooner Football, the season preview show with Brent Venables, presented by Jana King. Great to hear from head coach Brent Venables. We appreciate him stopping by, and we talk most intriguing things that we heard. I heard stick of dynamite. He's like a grenade. He's like a grenade. Yeah, good stuff.
Accurate description, by the way.
Very accurate. Let's talk about what you guys heard. Teddy, what was the most intriguing thing that maybe you heard from Coach Venables there?
I think for me, it's just the depth across the football team. Offensively, defensively, heard him go through the offensive line and, you know, all the different moving pieces there, trying to find the right combinations. We didn't have that a year ago. You just had to find the 5 healthy guys you could throw out there. You go to the defensive side, whether it's corner, whether it's edge, you know, even at inside linebacker, there's legitimate depth, not issues, but competition between guys that have played, have previous snaps, and are really battling. You know, and it's a long season, so the more guys that you have available, the better. And I love the depth of this football team right now. For the most part, made it through training camp without taking any major issues. And I think that that's helped, you know, this team. The starting point going into the spring compared to previous years, they were way ahead, and I believe they've stayed ahead of the curve the whole time.
How about the staff retention, in particular on the defensive side of the ball? How important is that continuity?
Well, yeah, just having the same voice for the players, hearing the same coaching points, being familiar with your coach, and then just the familiarity between the coaches and the system, right? You're not learning, you know, it's very difficult to learn all new language, different schemes, how you're playing different route combinations, or how you're going to coordinate your rush. Those things are constantly changing, and whenever you have stability throughout 3-4 years and everyone's building, they're coaching their guys, and everyone grows up together in it, that level gets really high really quickly. And the young guys that come in, when everyone knows it, they rise to that level faster.
Obviously, a lot of talk about John Mateer on the offensive side of the ball. Anything other than that, or do we need to stick with John Mateer when we talk about what you heard from the head coach?
Well, I just like hearing him talk about his attention to detail. All you got to do is watch his film from Washington State, and you realize the guy's extremely talented. Can make all the throws, really can run, is elusive, but you don't really know about the leadership qualities until you get him here. And they have been blown away by his attention to detail and how demanding he is with not only himself, but with his teammates. So that is extremely encouraging to hear, that there's just no doubt this is John Mateer's football team and this is John Mateer's offense.
Like what I heard as well with Coach Venables talking about when adversity hits, where do you sit? What is that going to be like? And it sounds like he checks that box as well, John Mateer.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Just watching him out of practice, you know, he's going to make some mistakes. He is, but he's not going to flinch. He's going to come back. He's going to keep swinging. That's just how this guy is wired. I have been really impressed just by his mental makeup, his competitiveness, his toughness when I've gone out to practice. He's an impressive player, and clearly the way that he plays this year is going to have a massive effect on this football team. And it's hard to explain, but when you walk into the building every day and you know you've got a guy at quarterback, things get more fun.
Yeah, I would completely
It's a little
agree.
easier to come to practice every single day when you know you've got a dude at quarterback.
I hate doing the comparison thing, and I think we do too much of that these days, but there's a swagger that resembles Baker Mayfield. It honestly does. I'm not saying he's the same player, but the swagger, the leadership qualities that you saw when Baker Mayfield was here, starting to see some of that with this guy. So he was one of the most highly sought-after transfer portal guys. Jaden Ott comes in at running back. The two of them, along with offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle, hoping to supercharge the Sooner Schooner. We'll dive fully into the Oklahoma offense when we come back on the Sooner Football Season Preview Show with Coach Brent Venables, presented by Jana King.
Sooner Football with Brent Venables Season Preview Show is presented by Jana King, the king of clean. Taco Mayo. Tap the app and save up to 25% today. Air Comfort Solutions. Your total home solution for plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. Make the winning call today. One Oklahoma. Powered by Sooner Sports Properties. Fan-fueled, athlete-focused.
Season Preview Show with Brent Venables is presented by Jana King. Welcome back in. We dive into the Oklahoma offense, and this segment is presented by Groundworks, preferred foundation repair company of the Sooners. We could rehash the offensive struggles, but let's not do that. Let's point
Please
to a
no.
brighter future.
Please no.
The winds of change came sweeping down the plains in the offseason. Enter Ben Arbuckle, 29-year-old offensive coordinator. 2019, he was a quality control coach at Houston Baptist, but his two offenses prior to coming to Oklahoma at Washington State ranked top 12 nationally. First off, Ben Arbuckle, Teddy, what's been behind this meteoric rise for him in the coaching ranks?
Well, I think you just have to look at what he's done with quarterbacks. You know, Cam Ward, John Mateer last year, really good job developing those guys. Clearly, whenever you see Mateer, he has a great understanding of the offense. Now, that's some personal talent, but that's coaching as well. And he does a fantastic job orchestrating that offense. I think what I really like about Arbuckle and his system is it's multiple. In the passing game, you work a lot of the stuff close to the line of scrimmage, a lot of good intermediate crossers and concepts to the sideline, and then loves to push the ball deep, challenge teams deep, and then a ton of variety in the run game. You know, they've got a bunch of different things they can do in the run game, big personnel, small personnel, mix in some quarterback stuff. So I just think that he's done a really good job developing the guys that are going to play in the system, playing to the talent of the guys that are on his offense, and then the play calling, keeping defenses off their toes, always on their heels. You never really have anything that you can dial in against.
Gabe, expound upon what you expect the offense to look like.
Yeah, I expect him to run the football. I think Ben Arbuckle maybe even gets a little offended that he's labeled an air raid guy. It's very clear after the conversations I've had with him, he wants to run the ball. And like Ted mentioned, he's got a variety of run concepts. Now, it's going to be mainly zone concepts and gap scheme stuff that he's going to dress up with different pre-snap motions, different types of formations, different personnel groupings, but they're going to get to just some of the core concepts that he likes. And then you factor in what Mateer can do with his legs and how difficult that can be on a defense when you throw all that QB run game at him. But I expect him to run the ball. And I think that's what Ben Arbuckle wants to do. And he sequences, Coach Venables mentioned it, his play sequencing. He builds a lot of his shots down the field off the run game. So it's going to be very important that they establish that run game, that they're running it efficiently so that they can create some of those explosive plays down the field. And that's what this offense needs. That's what we've lacked the last couple seasons. This offense needs more explosive plays. And I think Ben Arbuckle knows that, and he's going to design a lot of what they're doing offensively to try to create those explosive play situations.
John Mateer ran for over 800 yards, threw for over 3,000 yards, 44 total touchdowns. What will allow him to take this offense back to an elite level nationally?
It all starts with the offensive line. I mean, that's just, we all know that's the truth. And if that group can come together, and like Venables mentioned, the competition has been great across the board. If that group can come together and play at a high level, John Mateer is going to produce. If they can keep him clean, if they can run it efficiently with this stable of backs, number 10 is going to make plays. He's extremely talented, and this group at wide receiver, we've got some guys that can go make plays, but it all starts with the big guys playing well up front.
Jaden Ott transferred in at running back from Cal, explosive, all Pac-12 performer, all ACC performer that this guy has been in the past. Teddy, I want to ask you, though, we haven't talked a lot about wide receiver. Is that a position group that's got you intrigued? What's really got you the most intrigued spot on offense?
Yeah, 100%. Wide receiver, I mean, we go back to last year, and it was a work in progress all year. Had to navigate a ton of injuries. Well, this year, you know, we've got a lot of guys. And what I like about the group is everyone's a little bit different. You know, Burks, explosive, guy that can work the middle of the field, but still a deep threat. I love what I've seen from Satania. He's really consistent. He's been a favorite target of Mateer. Elijah Thomas, a young guy that can be a big-time playmaker for you. I mean, you just throw out a bunch of names before we even start to talk about Giovanni Gibson, who maybe was the most exciting player to watch through spring, and hopefully we get him back soon.
Gabe, how about you quickly, a position group that you've really got your eyeballs on?
Tight end. I think that tight end is going to be extremely interesting. I think Jaron Kanek is going to play a big role for this football team. Will Huggins, I think, is the more traditional, do a little bit of everything, big-bodied tight end. But between Huggins and Kanek and Helms and Carson Kent, who I think may be the best pass-catching threat out of the group, it's going to be really interesting to see how Ben Arbuckle uses that group as a whole. Is it the strength of the football team? No, but I think it's an intriguing group.
Defense has been the strength of this Sooner football team under Brent Venables. We'll see if that continues to be. Familiar faces like Kip Lewis and R. Mason Thomas, and the head coach is the defensive play caller once again. We're talking Sooner defense when we come back on the Sooner football preseason preview with Coach Brent Venables, presented by Jana King.
Sooner football with Brent Venables' season preview show is presented by Jana King, the king of clean. Riverwind Casino. It's always a good time. OU Fan Shop. The best place to gear up for game day is shop.soonersports.com. Sooner Kids Club. Log on to Soonersports.com/kids for information about joining the Kids Club presented by OG&E and brought to you in part by Devon Energy.
Welcome back to the Sooner Football Preview Show with Brent Venables, presented by Jana King, the king of clean. We're talking defense, and our defensive segment is presented by Riverwind Casino. Always a good time. Brent Venables back to play calling duties on the defensive side of the ball. I'm good at it, was his response. Need say no more. He is good at it. Championship pedigree and the track record. Let's be honest, no matter who the coordinator has been, his fingerprints have been all over the defense. Teddy, does anything really change with Coach Venables now calling the defensive plays?
Yes.
Okay.
In a good way. He is good at it. He's the best. And whenever you see the way that he game plans and builds for offenses and challenges them, you hear it time and time again that the things that he throws at teams, whether it's a young quarterback or they've got a great running back or whatever their strength is, he finds unique ways to attack that within his system. And, you know, I think that had this been year one, year two, maybe a little more difficult. But like we've talked about with the defense that has grown up in this system, with the coaching staff that has stayed consistent, and you've had great retention there, I think it builds for the perfect recipe for him to step in and do those play calling duties, and he'll be a part of all of the, the game prep like he always has. But I don't think the workload is nearly what it is this year compared to what it might have been in years past.
What are the logistical challenges for a head coach who's also a play caller on either side of the ball, Gabe?
It's just all the game management stuff. But that's why you have a coaching staff. I loved hearing Venables say just how much this staff has gelled together. Going back a couple years, remember when he was calling the defense, when the defense was on the sideline, he was right in the middle of the defensive huddles, going through the cards, going through everything, making the proper corrections. I'm not sure if he's going to do that this season. I know he trusts guys like Wes Goodwin, Nate Dreiling to maybe do those things, but Venables kind of likes to be in the mix if he's in charge of things. So that's where a guy like Kevin Wilson being on the staff becomes very important. We saw Matt Wells take over almost as like the head coach role when Venables was making his corrections on the sideline with the defense. When he was running things, I could see a guy like Kevin Wilson doing something similar this year. It's all about trusting your staff to be able to handle those game management decisions if you're having to really get into details on the sideline with the defense.
It feels like there's been a 3-year process building up to having an SEC caliber roster. And on the defensive side of the ball, yeah, you lose a Bowman, you lose a Stutzman, but Teddy, what are the great reasons to be excited about the defense into 2025?
Well, I mean, just the thing I keep going back to is the depth and the guys that understand the scheme. But if you're talking personnel-wise and where the talent is, you got to look at the defensive line. And with the group that we've put together, including the guys on the edge, this has the chance to be one of the best units that we've had around here in a long time. And it all starts right there. Starts on the line of scrimmage. If your defensive line is playing good, tough football, it's hard to run against you. You get good pressure on the quarterback. It helps the secondary and the coverage aspect. I mean, that defensive line group and what I've seen so far, they're as good as they've been billed to be. And if that continues, I think the rest of the defense is going to thrive.
Intriguing guys that people may not be familiar with. Marvin Jones Jr. is a double transfer from Georgia and from Florida State. Kendall Daniels, people around here are familiar with. He had 240 tackles at Oklahoma State. And then you've got an R. Mason Thomas, you've got a Kip Lewis. But I'm asking you first, Gabe, who on the defensive side of the ball are you most intrigued to see what they look like?
You heard Venables talk about the importance of being strong in the middle. Jaden Jackson looks fantastic right now. You were a little worried, hey, the offseason shoulder surgery, would that set him back a little bit? The answer is no. It has not set him back at all. He looks so powerful, so strong, so quick, and he just doesn't get moved in the run game, whether that's one-on-one blocks, double teams. The guy is just like a fire hydrant out there. But the most encouraging thing that I've seen from him is he's showing a little bit more as a pass rusher. He's getting to edges a little more. He's using his hands. He's starting to develop those pass rushing tools. I think Jaden Jackson, with what I've seen in training camp, I think he's capable of being an all-SEC player this year. I expect a big jump from a guy that I believe was OU's best interior defensive lineman a year ago as a true freshman.
How about you, Teddy? Somebody you've been out, you've listened, you've watched, you've talked to the coaches. Who are you pointing to?
It's Kendall Daniels. And you mentioned his stats that he had at Oklahoma State, and he's played a bunch of football. This is a different guy. And, they use him in a bunch of different ways. I don't know that we've ever had a player like this.
Well, first of all, give us his measurables on Kendall Daniels.
6'5.5", 240-plus pounds.
I'll take that.
And he's the reach, the versatility, the aggression to come up and play the run. And he's got a unique combination of skill sets, having played in the secondary, got some time playing inside backer. So he's got a little bit of everything, and he's as good looking of an athlete as you're ever going to see. And if he has the season, like what I've seen through the spring and through training camp, if he continues to progress and get better and better, look out.
There are going to be some Oklahoma State fans that are going to be very upset by the way he plays.
I think there's some fans in
they're
Norman
going to go,
that are
wait a
okay with
second,
that.
what?
Yeah.
There's going to be some SEC people that are upset by the way he plays, too.
He's been extremely impressive.
Type of physical player you need, the type of depth that you need if you're going to navigate life in the SEC. One of the most brutal schedules in the country for the Sooners this year. And in the non-conference, the first meeting between the Crimson and Cream and the Maize and Blue is going to happen in Norman. It's the first time the Wolverines and Sooners have gotten together in 50 years. We take a look at the schedule when we wrap things up next on the Sooner Football Season Preview Show with Brent Venables, presented by Jana King, the King of Clean.
Thank you to our cornerstone television partners, OU Health, OG&E, Fowler Auto Group, and Coca-Cola. We want to thank all of our Sooner Radio Network affiliates across the state and region. Fans can check out Soonersports.com for an affiliate in your area. And if you're traveling outside the state of Oklahoma, you can listen to all the action on either SiriusXM Radio or download the Varsity Network app and listen free. Sooner Football with Brent Venables Season Preview Show is brought to you by Jana King, the King of Clean.
Wrapping things up on the Sooner Football Preview Show with Brent Venables, presented by Jana King, the King of Clean. We mentioned Michigan before the break. So much excitement and anticipation with the Wolverines coming to Norman in week number 2. Our schedule look at 2025 is presented by Jana King, King of Clean. It begins 5 p.m. Central, Illinois State, August the 30th. So 7 opponents ranked in the preseason top 25, and 6 of the final 7 on that schedule are in the top 25. Oklahoma and Michigan last met in the 1976 Orange Bowl. I'm the only one on this set alive when last 2 of the greats squared off. Which one are you looking most forward to, Teddy? Is there a subtle one? You played at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, that was great. And, I mean, whenever you look at that schedule, there's so much to choose from. But I got to look at that Michigan game. You mentioned it, been a while since we've played Michigan. They've been on a high with that program recently. They're trying to find themselves after, a little bit of a down year last year. They got a big-time quarterback coming in. Maybe it's going to be his first road start if he wins that job. But it kind of feels like that game may set you up for the rest of the season. If you're able to get a big win against Michigan at home, look out, this team may have some momentum.
Michigan, by the way, beat Ohio State and Alabama at the end of last year.
What a bad year.
Only the national champions. Isn't that crazy? How about you, Gabe? Turn away from Michigan. I know we're all looking forward to that one. What do you have your eyes on?
I'm very excited to eat cheesesteaks for the Temple game. That is going to be a fun trip to Philly, but I'm most excited about the trip to Knoxville. A bunch of people that went to that 2015 game.
My ears are still ringing.
Always talk about how incredible of environment it was. My wife went to that game. She says it's the best road environment she's ever seen. So I am very excited. I know they have a lot of question marks on that football team right now after the quarterback situation that took place in the offseason, but I'm extremely excited for that trip to Knoxville.
Any subtle ones, Teddy, that maybe Temple? I hadn't even thought about cheesesteaks, Gabe, and you say that, and I'm like, that
I will
sounds
eat
pretty
multiple.
good. I would imagine
Multiple.
you will. I would imagine.
Hey, I'm at South Carolina. To me,
Tough one.
Yeah.
They came in here
environment.
and went to work last year against
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
we owe them a little something. Sellers, one, a lot of people think he may be the best quarterback in the SEC. We'll see how it plays out, but that's going to be a tough football team with a lot of talent.
Looking forward to it, and it all gets started right here at Gaylord Family Memorial Stadium, August the 30th, with the Illinois State Cardinals. We appreciate Brent Venables and Toby Rowland earlier in the show. For my partners Teddy Lehman and Gabe Eichert, I'm Chad McKee. This has been the Sooner Football Season Preview Show with Brent Venables, presented by Jana King, the King of Clean. We'll see you next time.